I'm Dave and this is Logan, out once again for a walk in the countryside. Thanks for joining us. Now today we're at a place called Ringstead Bay. It's about 9 miles southeast of Dorchester in Dorset on the Jurassic Coast. And we're going to be doing a roughly 4.5 mile circular walk from Ringstead on the western end of the bay, heading eastwards and along a ridge and then down to the eastern side of the bay and then back along the southwest coast path. And as well as some stunning views and incredible coastline, hopefully we'll come across some interesting things to see along the way. Well, I've parked my car at a car park at Ringstead. Before we sort of head off into the countryside, we thought we'd do a little bit of an exploration along the beach. Now, it is quite a stony beach, so we're not going to be able to do any Whippet zoomies today, but we might have a little bit of a dip. Well, it's just about warm enough for a little bit of a paddle. So he's probably going to go up to his chest. Perhaps a little chilly. It's not a very sandy beach, is it? So we can't really do Whippet zoomies on this, which is a shame. Dogs are allowed on the beach all year round at Ringstead Bay. Just to show you the views down here, this is looking over to the west, so that must be Weymouth over there, and then in the far distance the Isle of Portland. The sea's looking very calm today, and this is looking out into Ringstead Bay. There's a coral bed out there apparently that it gets exposed at low tide. A sort of geological formation with fossilised coral. Come on. What's that? I think it's a crab. He's not too sure about that, are you? You've not seen a crab before. Or an ex-crab. What's that then? Don't get many of those in the New Forest, do we? Ooh, he's going to go back for a second look. I think it's a no. Oh, bless him. Well, we enjoyed a little wander along the beach there. Well, before we start off on our circular walk, I've done a little detour to the west along the southwest coast path, just to have a look at the site of a deserted medieval village, which was in a field just behind me here. Now, there's not exactly a great deal to see, but it covers about 5 hectares. There's just earthworks as evidence now of where houses and gardens were. The Domesday Book showed there was a population of 19 and it had dropped to 13 by 1333. The village was owned by Milton Abbey for much of the 15th century, but in 1488 Ringstead was merged with Osmington on account of the poverty of both parishes. As a result, West Ringstead gradually became depopulated, and I dare say it would have been affected by the plague. Now, a church was mentioned in 1227, and there is a cottage to the north, Glebe Cottage, that was converted from the old chapel of the village in the 18th century. I think the cottage still has part of the chancel and chancel arch within it, but we're not going to be able to get near to it to see it. Okay, well, we're going to now start heading sort of northwards and then in a north easterly direction, heading out of Ringstead. Not very big. In fact, an 1897 map I think just shows one building, Myrtle Cottage, and an old chapel. I'm guessing the houses here today, many of them may well be holiday homes, I don't know. Well, we've made our way out of Ringstead and now crossing a field in a sort of northeasterly direction. It looks as though we've got a little bit of an uphill bit. If I slowly turn the camera around without the sun getting in the lens. I say we're heading right to the top of that ridge, and then along the top to the eastern end of the bay. We should get some terrific views when we get to the very top. We're nearly at the top. Good excuse for a pit stop to admire the view. Isn't this stunning? And when the sun comes out, it really is quite glorious. It starts to bring the blue colour of the sea out so much more. Oh look, there's some, I don't know if you can see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 deer running towards us across the field. Just to the right of where those sheep are. Lovely. Ta-da! We've made it to the top of the ridge. In fact, there's a handy little map. There's actually a car park up here. But yeah, so where have we come from? I think we've sort of followed a path along here and then up here. Anyway, we're here. So we're going to make our way across top of a ridge all the way up to these Coast Guard cottages. And then back, and then we're going to follow the coastal path all the way back. What a quite gorgeous, well preserved thatched farm building there. Beautiful. Okay, this is the track that we've been following. So the car park at the top of the ridge is right at the very top there, and so we're continuing in an easterly direction. Well, this is about as far east as we're going to go on the walk, and I'm just about to rejoin the southwest coast path and head back to Ringstead. Now, just behind me here there's a whopping great big beacon, and there's another one allegedly about 400 yards to the east, although I can't actually see it at the moment. Now, I think they were erected by Trinity House to help ships with navigation. Basically, you take a compass bearing from your ship to the obelisks, and when they appear in line with each other, and almost immediately to some other prominent point marked on your chart by plotting intersecting lines, etc, etc, etc. Well, basically, you can work out your position. I'm no expert. Now it's interesting that the beacons line up exactly on a bearing of 045 degrees northeast to southwest, but at different elevations. And if I just bear round, heading southwest from the beacons, the first land that it lines up with is on Portland, and it appears to coincide with the Coast Guard station that used to be there on the eastern cliffs of the island. Now, during my research I did read something about these beacons possibly being used by the Navy, involved in some sort of prize firing competition, and they were painted white, but how they were used I don't know. We also saw something similar to these beacons when we did our Swanage walk, Durlston Head. There were a couple of pairs of metal beacons, but those were 1 nautical mile apart, and they were used really for measuring speed for ships. Some folk enjoying their jet skiing, just zipping around the corner there. Great fun on a day like today. Well, isn't that your quintessential Jurassic coastline scene? Beautiful. And that must be St Alban's Head, right in the very far distance. And just looking down the sea now, glinting in the sunshine, still very, very calm. A few yachts out there. It's quite a blowy day. And this is now looking to the west, and there's Portland over there. And we're going to continue along the southwest coast path. We've now made our way to Whitenothe, N-O-T-H-E, I hope that's how you pronounce it, which are some cliffs very much on the eastern side of Ringstead Bay, which is down behind me here. But just in front of me are some old Coast Guard cottages. I think they're called Whitenothe cottages today, but an old map shows them as Coast Guard cottages that were built in 1902. There was a 3-storey house for the captain and 6 other cottages for men, and at one time, with wives and children, there were something like 44 people living here. And there's no road access, just a muddy farm track. No mains, electricity, gas or running water. No drainage apart from a septic tank, no telephone. A lovely metal gate here telling us that they were former Coast Guard cottages, and well, not wanting to invade their privacy, but just in the front garden there's a lovely old, oh, it looks like a water pump there. So they must have been able to get water perhaps somehow up here. Well, just about, 100 yards to the south of the cottages there's this old World War II pillbox, but it's no ordinary pillbox. Constructed in 1940, 1941. It's unusual and that it's fitted with a Royal Observer Corps observation post on top. So, well, presumably those are the steps up to the observation point up there, and then you've got the little normal pillbox through there. I don't know whether you can go inside. I expect it'll be pretty dark. Can we see anything? Oh, a nice view of the sea through the through the little window. Well, right next to the pillbox, little sign there telling us that there's a smuggler's path down here, steep hazardous route. We're definitely not going to go down there. I've seen a photograph of it and it is a very much a challenging zigzag path all the way down, used obviously by smugglers in years gone by. Well, I tell you, the views from up here are quite stunning. They really are. I don't want to get too close to the to the cliff edge, but the sea is just really looking so blue now. Now down in the distance there are some cliffs. They're called the Burning Cliff, and the geology here is quite complex. Basically there's a layer of oil and gas shale that's exposed by landslips, and it sometimes burns slowly, giving off wisps of smoke on occasions. But from 1826 the cliff smouldered with an underground fire for several years. So that's where it gets its name from. Oh, I just love this view of the bay from up here, and the beach. Although it's not, you know, glorious sand, it looks really yellow and gold in the sunshine today. Well folks, just behind those trees is a house which we're not going to be able to see, I'm afraid, but it's Holworth House, and a chap called Dr. Robert Linklater bought the house in 1887, and when he died in 1926 his widow built a chapel which we're going to see very shortly. She died in 1942 and a trust was set up to ensure the upkeep of the chapel. So let me show you the chapel. I mean, obviously you can see where we're now. You can see a few graves, and there's a cross over there. But if I gradually pan around, this is oh so sweet. Isn't this cute? A little wooden building, St. Catherine's by the Sea. As you can see, it's a very small wooden church, built to serve the very scattered population around these parts. In 1887 a Holy Communion used to be held in the private chapel in Holworth House. The congregation basically became too large, and so this was built in 1926. In 2002 they were thinking of demolishing it and building a new one using funds from the trust, but in 2010 it was refurbished and extended with a new electric organ. So it's not much more than a garden shed. I think it still has a service once a month, I believe. Well, we'll have a look inside, but well, there are lights, but I can't find any switches, so this is going to be very, very dark. I might have to put some photographs up, but it smells very wooden, if that sounds a very daft thing to say. Really is quite enchanting, and a sort of etching on the window there. Gosh, well, you can probably get what, about 40-50 people in here perhaps. Very modern looking. And there, just I can see up in that round window, I'll see if I can take a photo, etching St. Catherine by the Sea 2010, obviously when it was refurbished. Now we're very much on the homeward leg now, on the southwest coast path, and I can see the car park from here. But you need to keep your eyes peeled. This last little section, there's a few little bits of evidence of World War II activity. An example just behind me here, and this is part of the old radar station constructed in 1941, known as the RAF Ringstead Chain Home Radar Station. And there's a little information board up. I'll put it up on screen for you. But it later served as a rotor station site known as SRD in 1952, a sort of updated radar system with an ability to detect low-flying jets. And then from 1963 to 1974 it was a USAF tropospheric scatter station. I'll let you look it up. It was big. It basically provided a cross-channel relay link. But all around this area there were 2 transmitter blocks, 2 receiver blocks, bases of 2 receiver towers, a substation, a standby set house, all in these sort of earthbound bunkers. It sort of covers an area of 26 hectares along the coast round here. But I will just have one final pan round. So this is looking to the north. That's the ridge that we climbed originally, and then very slowly panning round. There's Ringstead behind those trees, Weymouth in the distance, and the end of Chesil Beach and the Isle of Portland. And on a day like today, quite exquisite. Well folks, we've come to the end of our walk. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do give us a thumbs up and a like, and do leave a comment. And do check out our Facebook page, Dave's Countrysides Walks. We've had a super walk today. The weather, well, the sun came out in the end and some of that scenery was stunning. We're back at the car park now, the cafe there, so we're having some light refreshment. So until we meet again, thanks for watching and cheerio. Good boy. Oh, looking forward to this. Lovely.